Hello everyone, it's your middle-aged horror guy here, back with another video. Today we're going to be reviewing the movie Megan 2.0. Now, there's been a lot of talk about AI lately. From fears that AI will continue to take jobs away from humans, to the growing fear that AI could be mankind's downfall. Now, there have been dozens and dozens of movies that Hollywood has depicted of AI taking over the world and either killing us or enslaving us. And that has been the centerpiece of the sequel to the AI killer doll movie, Megan. Now, does Megan 2.0 help calm our fears of an AI uprising, or does it exacerbate our fears? Well, let's discuss. Now, the original Megan movie I first saw in theaters back in January of 2023. And despite this being a PG-13 movie and a January horror movie, typically January is where studios put all their shitty movies, I found this film quite enjoyable, and apparently so did a lot of people, because this film grossed over $181 million at the box office on a $12 million budget, and received generally positive reviews from critics and fans alike. So it was a no-brainer there was going to be a sequel to this movie. And to my surprise, I absolutely loved this movie, even more than I did the first one. I never expected to like this movie as much as I did. But more on that later. So the basic premise of this movie is about 2 years after the events of the first movie, we learn of this new AI threat named Amelia, who's basically this android built for the government for infiltration and assassination missions, built from the same tech as the original Megan. But when she reveals that she has become self-aware, she decides to stop following orders and to take out anyone and everybody who she deems a threat. And that's when our main lead, Gemma, played by Allison Williams, decides to resurrect Megan in order to take on Amelia in this ultimate battle of AI versus AI. Now, for starters, this is a very different movie than the original Megan film. And when I say different, I mean this film takes the original sci-fi horror slasher premise of the first film and completely flips it on its head, turning this movie into a more sci-fi action end-of-the-world type of movie, very similar to Terminator 2 Judgment Day, actually. Now, our two main leads from the original do return for this film, Gemma, played by Allison Williams, and Katie, played by Violet McGraw. Now, one thing I found interesting is the evolution of Gemma in this movie. I mean, in the first film, she is tech-obsessed. She uses tech and AI for almost everything. You might say she's almost over-reliant on AI. Where in this film, she has become an author and advocate for AI regulation. And while she still believes that tech can be used for the greater good, she's a lot more cautious of AI, and in some ways, almost afraid to use it. And after what happened in the first film, who can blame her? Now, another thing I like about this film is the balls-to-the-wall, almost non-stop action. I mean, this movie is action-packed from almost start to finish. It hardly ever lets up. And there's also a lot of twists and turns in this film. I mean, just when you think you figured out where this movie is going, it'll then suddenly take you in an almost completely different and unsuspecting direction. Now, with that being said, I do understand why some people may not like this film. I mean, for one, unlike the first film, this is not a horror movie per se. So if you're going into this movie expecting a full-fledged horror movie, you will be sadly disappointed. I mean, apart from a few scenes with blood splatter, and I believe one scene with a cut-off body part, there's really not much blood in this movie. While many people do get killed in this movie, most of the time they cut away before you see anything too gruesome. Hence, the PG-13 rating. Which, unfortunately, may leave some of you gorehounds out there disappointed. Another thing some may not like is they take Megan from being this menacing villain that you're almost afraid of to this comedic, sassy-talking, joke-cracking hero of the movie. I mean, there are certain scenes where you almost feel sorry for her and are actually rooting for her to win. However, while I do understand these criticisms, I believe most of what I said above actually works for the film, making it unique and refreshing and helping it stand out from the rest of these type of movies. And another thing I like about this film is that it sort of takes the Terminator 2 elements of this film and updates it and modernizes it for a whole new generation of moviegoers. And what I mean is, while Terminator 2 represents what many people thought would happen if AI got out of control at that particular time period in the 90s, I feel this film does a good job of updating and modernizing our fears and concerns we have today of AI. And actually gives us a more realistic approach of what could happen in the not too distant future if we're not careful and don't keep AI in check. Another unique thing this film does is, unlike other movies with this type of plot, where it only shows how AI can be used for or become evil, this movie shows us some potential ways that AI and tech can be used for good, and does a good job of balancing between the two. I believe this film is telling us is that if we manage AI correctly, the AI future may not be all doom and gloom, so to speak. It'll all depend on how we use it. Now, with all that being said, I feel the filmmakers had a lot of balls to take this movie in this direction. I mean, they could have easily played it safe and gave us another typical AI killer doll type of movie. But instead, they took a risk and actually gave us something different. Which, whether you like the film or not, you have to give them credit for trying something different. And I respect and appreciate them for that. With all that being said, I'm going to give this film 4.5 out of 5 stars. While not a perfect movie, and I'll admit I would like to see a little bit more blood and violence in the film, but despite all that, I really had a fun time with this movie from beginning to end. It's actually the most fun I've had at the theater this year, believe it or not. And I absolutely can't wait to see where they take this in future sequels. If we get them anyway. Fingers crossed we do. Once again, I absolutely love this movie and actually think it's one of my favorite movies that I've seen in theaters this year so far. Now, with all that being said, I want to know what you guys think. Do you agree with me, or do you have a totally different opinion? Whatever it is, comment down below and let me know. And as always, hit subscribe if you enjoy this content. Well, that's all the time we have for the day. Remember, I'm a middle-aged horror guy, reminding you that you can love horror at any age. I'll see you next time.